Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, they rescued a homeless woman.
I had been living in a field.
I invited Sarah to move into our home.
But after taking her in, she turned them in.
Calling Protective Services really is a sign of gratitude.
You've neglected your children so badly.
You've lost parental rights to your own children, and you're going to tell them how to raise theirs.
My children are loved.
You make fun of them when they cry.
Never.
You told me you would kill them if you weren't on your medication.
No!
You are a liar.
You are out of bounds.
You said that not only did they neglect their children, they also neglected you.
Majority of the time, I would be getting meals on my own.
She wasn't waiting on you enough. You were living in a tent. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Jason and Brooke have been married for 20 years and say that God comes first in their lives. As assistant church pastors, they do their best to help people in need. In fact, they say they have adopted 7 special needs children from America and as far away as Africa, offering them some light in their lives. But when they pulled a homeless former addict named Sarah off the streets and into their home, they say that light turned to darkness, and their faith was tested in the most cruel of ways. Brooke says instead of being grateful, Sarah turned them into Child Protective Services with allegations of neglect and sexual abuse. Now, Jason and Brooke say they are furious that Sarah committed the ultimate act of betrayal in attacking their family. Take a look.
Sarah is crazy, self-absorbed, and dangerous.
Sarah is paranoid, distrustful, and passive-aggressive.
As a Christian, I wanted to help Sarah, but she ended up turning my life into a living hell. Sarah was homeless when I found her. She was living in a tent in a field that's right in front of our home. This field right over here is the place where I first met Sarah. I invited her to come to church with us that Sunday. I helped Sarah to get into a homeless shelter, but when she needed to have foot surgery, I invited Sarah to move into our home so that I could help take care of her.
Inviting Sarah into our home was a natural thing for us to do.
This is the couch where Sarah stayed. I helped her to get from here to the bathroom and for showering. As soon as she got her walking boot on, we asked her to spend her nights in here. She was included in all of our family meals. She went to church with us.
When Sarah started watching our family dynamic, she really started to turn on us.
Sarah accused us of starvation, sexual abuse, and neglect, saying that we starve our children. She was concerned about the level of independence that my kids have, how much they watched video games. One of our children has renal issues and wets herself. Sarah said that that was a sure sign that she was being sexually abused.
As a father, I was very angry that somebody thought that sexual abuse was occurring inside of my house.
When we found out, we had a pretty heavy confrontation. My kids are not neglected. They are not.
Listen, I watched her. She didn't eat breakfast. And
I asked her, did you eat your breakfast? Did you clean your room? Her answer was no. And then she went back up and she came back down and I asked her again.
And she said
that
no.
is not neglect.
So she wasn't
No. Last Wednesday, when she reported our family to Child Services, she put our whole family in jeopardy. I had thoughts of vengeance. We immediately kicked Sarah out of our house. Sarah's accusations against our family were absolutely insane. Our family could have been torn apart because of what she did.
Okay, it's good to meet you guys.
Great to meet you.
So, first off, you've taken in 7 children that you've adopted, right?
Yes.
Ages what to what?
4 to 24.
4 to 24.
Yes, sir.
And some of them are special needs?
Correct.
Or all of them?
They all have their need issues for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's pretty busy.
It's busy. It is a very busy but completely fulfilling life.
So did you do these one at a time?
Yes.
So you did one, and how long before you did the second one?
We went back onto the list because we were told that it could take a long time to receive a second match.
Right.
But we were placed with another child 5.5 months later.
Oh, really?
To our surprise, yes.
Okay, and how old were the first two?
So the first two were about, the youngest of them was about 12 months old when the baby sister, biological sister to our youngest at that point, was born, and we wanted to keep the siblings together.
Oh, okay. So you had one about a year old, and then you got the baby
That's
sister
right.
when the baby sister was born.
Right. So here we had
Okay.
3 children, 18 months and younger, in our house.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
It was intense.
All right. So we've established you're insane.
Yes. That's correct.
That's true.
And if you weren't before, you were then, right?
That's right.
Because that's really busy.
It was busy.
All right. So you've now got 7. Some of them older, some of them younger.
Yes, sir.
And then you decide to bring Sarah into your home, and you meet her in a field coming out of a tent. And you were doing what in the field? What were you doing in the field?
So part of our faith is to love your neighbor. And when this field in front of our property ended up with a homeless community literally putting tents into the field, I felt like it would be a wonderful thing to always go with another person for safety purposes, but to go and minister to them by bringing them food and beverages and inviting them to join our church. So I spent a period of time over the course of about a month delivering them food and drinks, at which point I had invited them to join us for church. And that's when Sarah presented herself. I actually said, hey, do you guys want to come to church with me this Sunday? I had never seen a female there before. And she came out of the tent saying she was journaling to the Lord, and she believed that God was literally inviting her to join us and come to church.
Okay. And she told you that she had lost her 3 children to the Department of Children's Services, right?
That's correct. Yes, her children had been removed a 1.5 years prior.
Did you inquire as to why?
Absolutely. I spent the course of almost 4 months getting to know Sarah and understanding her before we ever opened her the door of our home.
And what did you learn in those 4 months? Did you see any red flags or anything that concerns you? Any mental health issues? Any background issues that caused you to say, I have 7 children in here, some or all of which are vulnerable. Is this the kind of person I want to expose my children to?
In the beginning, I noticed that there was some real instability. She voluntarily checked herself into a mental health hospital and got medications that helped balance and stabilize her.
Do you go along with this?
I did. You know, I got to know Sarah, through Brooke. She spent most of the time getting to know her. And my observation of Sarah was that she was a nice girl. I felt like she needed help. I mean, I knew that she had some issues. I mean, she was living on the street. But I didn't feel like any of the issues that she had was anything that could be a danger to our family.
I looked to see if there were things that would just jump out at me objectively as red flags if I was looking at it. And one, she's a stranger. I mean, you knew her for 4.5 months, but I mean, she's a stranger. Early on, she interfered with your parenting.
She certainly questioned
Yeah, and
my
this started
parenting.
early on.
It did. Yes, sir.
She had a hysterical episode
Within the first week.
within the first week, and that's what you referred to as kind of a meltdown, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
And you talked about needing to have some boundaries.
Absolutely.
And she didn't say, okay, she came back at you with, well, I need some boundaries,
Yes, she certainly did.
right? And she did show symptoms of mental illness, and you knew she had an addiction history.
That's correct.
You knew she had an abusive past.
Yes, she was abused. A lot of domestic violence.
Yeah, and you knew that she had behaved in such a way, and somehow in her history, that her children had been taken away, and I think, in fact, that her parental rights had been terminated.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Which is a pretty big step,
Yes, sir.
not just to lose custody of your children and have visitation, even supervised visitation, but to have parental rights terminated,
Yeah.
where you have no access to your children whatsoever.
Yes.
So you knew these things about her fairly early in the game.
Yeah, I think...
Any of that say, you know, this might not be the best house guest?
Yes.
Sure, you know, but I'll tell you where we were at. Meeting Sarah and getting to know her, we knew that she had a history of addiction. We knew that she had a history of these things. But she was at a point in her life where she was looking to make a change. She was in recovery. She had months of sobriety under her belt. And, you know, we really felt like she was at a point in her recovery that she wouldn't be a threat to our home.
Okay. Well, Sarah is adamant that she absolutely has no regrets whatsoever for turning Brooke and Jason into child services, because she claims what she witnessed set off big alarm bells. And she says she should know because she's been there before. So we'll meet Sarah when we come back.
When I moved in with Brooke and her family, I became totally concerned about the welfare of their 7 children. I was concerned that her 5-year-old daughter was being sexually abused. I had no choice but to contact Child Services, and they were furious when I reported it. I do not regret calling Protective Services on them.
And later,
You've neglected your children so badly you don't even acknowledge it.
My children are loved. They are not in danger. They are thriving.
Are you done?
You have some nerve, Sarah. You have some nerve.
Monday,
I'm hot. Did everybody look at me when I came in?
her mom and sister
We're trying to figure out what's going on in your life.
I'm trying to tell you, darling, that's not a term of endearment.
claim she's delusional
2 gentlemen were grabbing me out of the room.
so you were abducted,
and facing felonies.
you were allegedly stealing a vehicle.
Why, Stephanie?
Oh, I'm just mimicking because I'm delusional.
Then on Tuesday, molested as a child by her own father.
You showed me videos.
It wasn't a big deal.
Showing her a pornographic video, that's a big deal.
That's Tuesday.
I feel that I've been totally betrayed by Sarah. Sarah believes that she did the right thing by calling the Department of Child Safety on us, but she is dead wrong. If Sarah won't say sorry for what she did, our relationship is going to be over.
But we just heard Brooke saying that she wants an apology from Sarah, the homeless woman she and her husband Jason rescued from the streets and invited into their home. Now, Sarah says she had no choice but to raise the alarm to Child Services after she witnessed signs of child neglect and serious sexual abuse.
2 years ago, my fiance and I fell on hard times and we lost our home. I actually left and found myself living on the street with him where we had no money and a tent. In order to stay sober, I knew I needed to leave my fiance and get off the streets. I had been living in a field for about a month before I met Brooke.
There was a homeless camp, and I had gone over and invited them to join us for church.
I was journaling in my tent, asking God for direction, what I should do.
So when she heard me invite them, that's when she popped out of her tent and said, "What did you say?"
I felt like it was a sign from God. Eventually, I moved in with Brooke and her family. After living there, I became totally concerned about the welfare of their 7 children. The children in the home often skip meals. Nobody watches them, and they play on their electronics all day long. Most of Jason and Brooke's children have issues with fetal alcohol syndrome and mental problems. I was concerned that her 5-year-old daughter was being sexually abused. I was concerned that it was her son that was behind the sexual abuse. I recognized child abuse because I was abused when I was little. I had no choice but to contact Child Services. Jason and Brooke were furious when I reported it. I do not regret calling Protective Services on them.
My 5-year-old, I'm explaining to her that she's going to have to do an interview with a police officer. She was crying and telling me no. That's scary.
Even I was neglected in their home. When I was recovering, I was left alone for 3 days. I thought they invited me into their home to take care of me. Brooke and Jason don't value my opinion because they think I'm just some homeless girl found on the street. I will not apologize for what I have done because I know that I made the right choice. I know that Dr. Phil will agree with me when I say, if you see it, say it.
Okay, you've been backstage listening to everything, right?
Absolutely.
First off, anything you want to say in response to what you've heard so far?
Absolutely. When I was in your home, you had no problem with me there. And now you're on a show. You're literally a show. You've neglected your children so badly, you don't even acknowledge it. Everything I just saw on that television, was a bunch of crap. You're
Not
too
true.
busy. You're too busy
Not
with
true.
everybody else outside of your home to see what's going on in your own home. If they have special needs, why are you putting them on the computers all day? You're neglecting them. Everybody else comes in your home, you neglect them. You don't even talk to them. You know what they need? They need your love. They need your attention.
Are you done?
Yeah, go ahead.
Good. Fantastic. My children are loved.
Are they? By
My
money?
children
Even
get
in the
to
Bible
go
it
on
says
trips
that you shouldn't be using.
Excuse
you don't
me.
look at the money.
I didn't
portion
interrupt
of it.
you, did I?
Go
I
ahead.
gave you your time. It's my turn. I take my kids to school every single day, and I talk to them the entire way. I ensure that they have packed appropriate lunches every single day. I talk to them on the full drive back every single day. I give them snacks. I help them with their homework. Then they get free time. God forbid they have free time to choose what they want to do. Then we sit down as a family and eat the home-cooked meal that I make. And we sit down and we go through our favorite parts of the day at the dinner table, and then we shut the electronics off, and we go and we shower and we snuggle and we watch TV together, and we repeat it the next day. That's normal, that's healthy, that's appropriate, and my children function at the highest levels that they are capable of, and it's because they are loved and they are stable. And you have no right to come into my home as a guest and tell me that my children are being neglected. They are not in danger. They are thriving. They get their academics needed, beyond needed.
Are you done?
You have some nerve, Sarah.
Are you?
You have some nerve.
You just mentioned it yourself. You get up to drive them to school. Who makes them breakfast? Who makes your youngest daughter breakfast every morning?
My grandma makes her breakfast every morning. Thank
It's
you
the
for
middle
pointing that
child
out.
that
No,
makes her
hold on,
breakfast every day.
hold on.
You
With
don't
respect.
even get up out of bed to
No.
help them until minutes before
I'm
it's
up
time
at
to
6
go.
o'clock, ma'am.
So then come outside and talk to them, interact with them.
Well, if I might, I want you to know the allegations that she made to DCS.
There's more.
Oh, good. Oh,
This
you
is
would be
according
very
to
interested.
Brooke and Jason, that you were accused of child neglect, emotional abuse, starvation,
Not starvation.
and sexual abuse.
Sorry.
Those were the things you
Yeah, it's not
alleged?
starvation. They're missing breakfast. The kids eat lunch, and mom comes out and yells at them because they've made a mess and then has to clean it for them, and she gets irritated. She doesn't make lunch for them.
No, I don't
She
make
doesn't do
lunch for
breakfast.
them.
You don't make
and-
breakfast either, nor do you make
No, I
lunches
don't.
during the week.
And
They're all helping each other,
I pulled
taking care
together
of each
the
other.
basis for your allegations. You said sexual abuse with regard to the daughter is because the child wets herself
Part of the reason, yes.
and, well, I'm going down the list, lacked emotion to her brother and looked away from him, and slept with her bottom in the air. And that those things indicate to you that she's being sexually abused by that brother.
No, it's a sign of sexual abuse. I didn't indicate that they had been. I was concerned about it, and I wasn't sure if I was on right track. So can I give some feedback, too, that when I had these concerns about everything that I did report, I made sure that I was using not my emotional mind or my logical mind, but that I was putting everything together to come to that conclusion. In addition, I spoke to therapists and counselors outside of their home to get a second opinion to make sure that I was on the right track or that it was something that needed to be brought to someone else's attention. They were ignoring everything that I had because I swear the reason for it is because I'm, again, the homeless girl from the fields that has nothing else to give.
Brooke claims that Sarah's, in her words, insane allegations prove to her that Sarah is self-centered, crazy, scary, traumatized, and dangerous. Her words, not mine. We'll take a closer look into Sarah's possible motivations when we come back.
It is beyond insulting, offensive, and completely delusional.
You're lying.
Hey,
And you're lying.
hey,
right?
Sarah,
Yes,
Sarah,
you are.
Sarah.
You have no right.
And later, you also said that not only did they neglect their children, they also neglected you.
Yeah, for 3 days they left me there. Majority of the time I would be getting meals on my own. Like, we planned this
You were
time.
living in a tent.
When Sarah first moved in, I set some boundaries. No smoking, no drinking. Because I had given Sarah some boundaries, she came back to me with some boundaries of her own.
I asked Brooke to not treat me as a child, to respect my choices and my decisions. I wanted to make sure that Brooke knew neither of us were better than the other. Brooke treated me differently because she felt that she was far more superior than me.
I found it quite comical because here I'm opening up my home to you and you're going to tell me how it is.
Well, Brooke and Jason say they have been happily married for 20 years and live a fulfilling life with their 7 adopted special needs children. They say they extended their love to Sarah, a homeless, recovering addict who they welcomed into their home only to learn that she had what they consider to be ulterior motives. And based on the belief that if you see something, say something, Sarah says she saw something. She saw things that she considered to be indicative of or certainly warning signs, and she went to Child Protective Services, and she talked about sexual abuse and gave 3 reasons for it. She talked about child neglect, and she said all children that skipped breakfast for 5 days, took care of themselves, played electronic games, and stayed indoors. Homework was criticized by Brooke and Jason, and that was indicative of neglect. You wanted to respond.
First of all, she's taking innocent young men and putting something on them that is beyond just something you can casually accuse somebody of. That is a violent crime that they are being accused of, right? There's an impact that comes on those boys emotionally when those accusations are being made. Secondly, I do have experience and training in advanced training hours for our licensing on what a sexual abuse victim looks like. My daughter doesn't bedwet. She doesn't have night terrors. She's not afraid of going into her bed at night. She doesn't have sexualized behaviors. She doesn't have any access to her room. The girls are on this side of the house. The boys are on this side of the house. And before we ever brought a teenage boy into our home, we even put cameras in the girls' rooms. So it is beyond insulting, offensive, and completely delusional that one 5-year-old who's in a barn for a youth group session is holding her pee because she doesn't want to leave and miss out on the fun, and she urinates herself, and that makes her a sexual abuse victim? That's crazy.
You're lying. You're lying. You say
How is she?
she's lying because her conversation with me in terms of like the camera, for example, she has a camera in there because they're worried about the girls that eating candy or bringing electronics into their room. It has nothing to do with the sexual abuse. Secondly, does go up into the room.
You may not use my son's name on this show. You have no right to humiliate him.
You also have no right.
You don't use his name
Then
again.
don't neglect your children.
Don't
I never
bring him in
of it.
Hey.
And you're lying.
Hey,
right?
Sarah.
Yes,
Sarah,
you are.
Sarah, I need you to listen to me right now. What you're saying couldn't be further from the truth. There is absolutely nothing. There is not one thing about what you're saying that is accurate. And here's the worst part. The worst part is you can bring your concerns to us. We address your concerns. And despite what we tell you that is happening in our house, the controls that we have in place, the insight that we have into our kids, you are uninterested in listening to why they are okay. You are insistent upon finding your own past in my children's present.
You're right. And you're right. You want to know why you're wrong?
Not okay.
I would love to explain that to you.
Well, let's see if you're correct about that, because I looked at some of Sarah's statements. One of them said, quote, "It's trying to bring it to your attention so that you don't end up where I am without my blanking kids." No, you're shaking your head. No, that's a quote. Well, I have it recorded.
Okay. It's totally fine. I'm not bothered.
And I'm just saying this for insight.
No, it's fine. I agree.
I'm just saying this for insight purposes. You say where I am with regard to my kids. And where are you with regard to your kids?
First, it's not without my,
I'm
it's
sorry?
not meant any attention towards my kids. Where am I with my kids? I've been an addict for 33 years, ignoring and normalizing bad behavior that was taught to me, and I'm just learning now that I have my own voice and I can create my own morals and values. So my rights have been severed from my kids, which I agree is acceptable because I was not, and I'm still not in the right place to have my children.
You said, it's like me trying to scream out as a child going, hey, this is what happened to me as a kid, and this is how I tell you, and it's like you ignore me.
Right.
So it's me, me, and it appears to me that you may be hypersensitive to these issues, and it's like the old saying, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and when you're a victim, everyone looks like they've been abused. It's confirmation bias. You see what you're looking for. Sarah says that she was upset with Brooke and Jason during her stay with them because she expected more. So where did they fall short? We'll find out when we come back. Do you have any gratitude for the fact that they did open their home to you?
Absolutely, and I've expressed my gratitude all the time.
Calling Protective Services really is a sign of great gratitude.
I knew that something was off with Brooke when I began to see her lying. She said that the trailer in the backyard was her father's and that he had no idea that I was going to be living in it.
Sarah confronted me and said she felt like I was lying to my dad.
It's our property. There's absolutely nothing to hide, and it was perfectly okay.
If Brooke wants people to believe that she's a good Christian, she should start acting on it and telling the truth.
Do you have any gratitude for the fact that they did open their home to you?
Absolutely, and I've expressed my gratitude all the time.
Calling Protective Services really is a sign of great
I
gratitude.
thought that I was doing what
But you
I
said
thought
that.
was right, and I still think I'm right.
But you also said that not only did they neglect their children, they also neglected you.
Yeah, for 3 days they left me there, and during the day they would actually, like, Brooke would sleep in. I'd have to, majority of the time I would be getting meals on my own, like in the kitchen on crutches, getting everything. It's not that I was expecting more, it's just that I didn't expect it that way. Okay, we planned this
You were
time.
living in a tent.
I'm fine with living in a tent.
But they brought you
I would
into their
much
home, and
rather
you're
live in a
saying that
tent
she
and
wasn't
live
waiting
somewhere
on you
where
enough?
No, it's not that she's not waiting on me enough. It's okay.
No, that's what you said,
It's
though.
not that she's not waiting on me enough. It's that if you plan something with somebody, you stick through it and you actually do what might be considered, like, you know, acceptable. Putting somebody in a kitchen by themselves with crutches, it was really difficult. That's all I'm saying. I never said, oh.
Well, no, but you said that wasn't the deal that was made.
Well,
You said she was.
Maybe it wasn't what I was expecting, and that's fine. Like, I am very
Okay, but do you still believe that this child is being molested?
No, and that's the thing. I didn't know if it was molestation. That's what I even tried to explain to them, and I explained to DCS too. When you look up the signs on Google, it actually says bedwetting.
She doesn't bedwet.
Wetting yourself. I'm sorry, and it's so normal that your child wets herself and you're acknowledgeful of it, and you're just like, oh, she'll take care of it. She's 5.
Actually, when children are being potty trained, one of the most effective ways...
Are you being potty trained at 5?
Excuse me, my turn. When
No.
children are being potty trained, one of the most effective ways to get them to understand that there's a consequence to their action is to allow them to clean up their spills. So when she had accidents at the age of 3, I taught her how to put it into the laundry room and deal with it. And guess what? We never have a problem with it. And when we do, she is self-sufficient, that she knows how to take care of herself.
Where does she spend most
We
of
need
her
to clarify
time?
something here.
Where does she spend
This
most
needs to
of her
be
time?
said.
It's
Sarah,
not even in your house with you, it's with her grandmother.
Sarah.
You don't even know what's
We
going
need
on
to
in your
clarify
house.
something
You know
here.
how many people come in and out of your house every day and it doesn't even bother you?
You are
do.
acting like
Okay,
our
you do.
child wets herself every single day.
One time.
We're talking about one time. You're building
You know
a
what's
church
funny,
on
though, is
one time.
When I
Are you
prayed
kidding?
about it, when I prayed about it, Brooke, when I was like, God, am I seeing the right thing? It was almost immediately after that when you were like, she doesn't wet herself. She doesn't wet herself
I
at all.
said she doesn't bedwet.
You said she doesn't wet
Because
herself.
that's a symptom that can be associated.
Sweating yourself during the day. Yes.
One time.
One time. Just like they only didn't eat breakfast 2 times, but yet you're not up in the morning to clarify that.
There are 12. They can get a granola bar and a banana and a yogurt, and I'm not going to sit on her and shove oatmeal down her face. She's 12.
Okay, well, what about your 10, 11-year-old? Who's making lunch for your daughter? You have the little kids making the younger kids lunch. You have your grandmother making
breakfast for a decade.
What are you doing for them? Right. Other than buying them things.
You know what? I want to answer that question. Let me answer that question. That was an excellent question. What are we doing? What we are doing is we are teaching our kids how to be self-sufficient. We are teaching our kids how to problem solve. We are teaching our kids how to love people and how to help people who aren't as fortunate as we are. That is what we are teaching our kids.
You make fun of them when they cry.
No.
You say you want to kill them. You told me you would kill them if you weren't on your medication.
No!
You are a liar.
You are out of bounds.
So could Sarah put aside her feelings about this? Does she have any remorse whatsoever? Because she says she doesn't still believe that molestation is going on. You don't believe
No, I
there's...
said I was concerned that it may be happening.
Well, we'll talk about that investigation when we come back. And how does this all end? We'll find out when we come back.
You stabbed us in the back, Sarah.
I disagree. Your family is very happy on the outside, Brooke. They're not happy on the inside.
That is none of your business?
That's right.
Monday,
I'm hot. Did anybody look at me when I came in?
her mom and sister
We're trying to figure out what's going on in your life.
I'm trying to tell you, darling, that's not a term of endearment.
claim she's delusional
2 gentlemen were grabbing me out of the room.
So you were abducted?
and facing felonies.
You were allegedly stealing a vehicle.
Why, Stephanie?
Oh, I'm just mimicking because I'm delusional.
Then on Tuesday, molested as a child by her own father.
You showed me videos.
It wasn't a big deal.
Showing her a pornographic video, well, that's a big deal.
That's Tuesday.
Sarah's accusations have rocked my family to the core. We are some of the only people who have loved Sarah, and that's by her own admission.
We gave Sarah a home, we supported her, and she turned around and betrayed us.
This is well beyond my capacity to be able to influence her for the positive. I'm passing the buck to Dr. Phil on this one.
Well, Sarah reported what she believed to be child abuse and neglect while accepting Brooke and Jason's offer for a safe place to sleep when she was homeless. But were her perceptions distorted and influenced by memories of abuse in her own life? I think so.
I would rather have called than to have completely ignored it.
No, you appealed the courts when your children's rights were severed, and you told me that DCS was the devil and that they destroyed families and that they didn't equip you with what you needed to get your kids back, and then you invited them into my house.
You know what happened?
And put my entire family, healthy, happy, functional family,
I still disagree with
at
your
risk.
family.
You stabbed us in the back,
I
Sarah.
still disagree. Your family is very happy on the outside, Brooke. I agree with that. They're not happy on the inside.
I need you to understand. There were
Absolutely understand
There were
everything
two
you
things
say.
I was afraid of when you did what it was that you did.
Do you ever tell
My
your wife
primary fear was not what was going to happen with CPS, whether or not they were going to remove our kids. I was so confident in the parents that we are, that was not it. My fear was that my kids would learn that by helping people, bad things happen. And that is not something that I want them to learn.
That's right.
And here's my second fear. My second one, Sarah, my second one is for you, because despite all of this, and you might not think it, I still have a heart for you and I care for you. And let me tell you, if you do not learn how, when people help you, not to externalize your issues onto them, it's going to be so hard for you. And that is my concern. You need to learn from this experience and admit and understand that you got it wrong.
You realize that there's
You
no
need some
happy
humility
family that's
of your
perfect,
heart,
right?
Sarah.
Like yours. Do you tell your wife that you're overwhelmed and that you're tired and that you can't take on anymore?
I am so honest with my wife about everything because I am sometimes tired. I am.
Do you understand that that is none of your business?
That's right.
Seriously. You don't come in and start taking somebody's inventory about how what kind of commerce goes on between them. That's so inappropriate. You've lost parental rights to your own children, and you're going to tell them how to raise theirs.
I'm not willing to apologize for us doing it.
The #1 show in daytime is taping now. All we need is you.
You're going to be in the Los Angeles area and want to watch a live taping of the Dr. Phil Show? Call 323-461-PHIL or visit drphil.com. Tickets are free, and I hope to see you soon. Brooke, Jason, and Sarah's church pastor, Mike, says that it's always a sensitive issue when it comes to helping and trusting strangers. Let's take a look at what he said.
Brooke and Jason have been part of our church for a few years now. They're a wonderful couple. If there was a nomination for a gold medal for parents, you would just automatically nominate them. They brought Sarah to church on a Sunday morning and introduced her to me. For whatever reason, Sarah decided that she thought that some way Brooke and Jason were not treating their own children as well as they should. Her way of dealing with that was to call the Children's Protective Services. When I heard that, I was just shocked. Sarah needs help. She has issues emotionally and mentally still. And I thought, is it safe to keep Sarah in the house? I was concerned that maybe Sarah would go back to the streets. There'd be no more help for her. I should have known better because I know Brooke and Jason have reached out to her and they've reached out to Dr. Phil to help bring Sarah to a better place in her life, which is what we're all praying for.
Well, Pastor Mike Sims joins us now via Skype. Pastor, thank you for joining us.
Well, it's my pleasure to join you. And I might begin by saying I have so much regard right now for Jason and Brooke for not jumping out of their chairs and strangling her. I was not aware of the level of deception that poor Sarah is under, and I have never heard her speak so poorly about anybody, particularly Jason and Brooke, who've reached out in love to help her. So I'm a little worked up about this, and I'm hoping we can resolve it.
Well, I understand, and that's what I'm trying to say. I just said to Sarah that I'm not trying to put her down. I'm just trying to say you need to recognize two things. One is you're looking at this through a filter of your own experiences, which distort your perception of what you see around you. And number two, how inappropriate it is to be sitting in judgment of the dynamic between a husband and wife who are juggling all of the balls that are involved in raising 7 special needs children. I mean, your credibility is not great. You've lost parental rights to your own children, and you're going to tell them how to raise theirs. That doesn't make sense. And then you're going to start attacking the dynamic of their marriage. I mean, is there nothing that you won't inject yourself into?
I agree that I may have been, or that I'm wrong. That's not the thing that I don't want to apologize for. What I'm not willing to apologize for is doing it, because I put lots of thought and effort and got other people's opinions into doing it.
You did cross some lines here, and
I did, and I apologized about that as soon as I did it.
Okay.
I did, she did. Yes, I said that I was sorry.
Okay. Well, at this point, I have some things I want to say to them that don't involve you, so I am going to excuse you, and I thank you for being willing to come and talk about this.
Monday on an all-new Dr. Phil. Her family claims she's delusional.
I'm hot.
You were allegedly stealing a vehicle.
Why, Stephanie?
Oh, I'm just mimicking because I'm delusional.
That's Monday.
Want to know what's coming up on Dr. Phil? Visit our website and subscribe to our email newsletter. You'll get weekly updates, life strategies, and exclusive video that you won't find anywhere else.
Plus, on drphil.com, you can see sneak previews of upcoming shows. Log on today.
Well, I'm back with Brooke and Jason. I asked Sarah to excuse us because I wanted to talk just to this couple. Well, can I give you all a couple pieces of advice?
Absolutely.
Please.
We
Okay.
know what's coming, doctor.
Yeah. And first, I want to say I applaud both of you as parents for your willingness to do what you have done. And I'm humbled by your giving nature with these children. God bless you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Having said that, let's talk about this benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I think giving people the benefit of the doubt is a higher form of insanity. Okay? I don't think you should give people the benefit of the doubt. I also don't think you should go in assuming that they're bad. Why would you do either one? What you should do when you meet someone new is you should collect data. You should make an informed opinion. You meet someone, then you start gathering data. And when you have enough data to form an opinion, then you form an opinion. And when you see red flags, you don't ignore them. And do you not love those people that are not okay? Of course you do, but you can love them long distance.
Right.
You don't have to bring them into your home and put your children exposed to them. Be Jason and Brooke, not Pollyanna and Pollyanna. That's all I'm saying. Just be careful with all that.
Yes.
All right, I want to thank all of my guests today, especially including Pastor Mike Sims. We'll see you next time.
Bounce, bounce, all the girlies bounce. Take 'em to my house, turn the party out. Bounce, 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 all the girlies bounce. Take 'em to my house, turn the party out.
You warned me 1,000 times, memories can kill ya, but I didn't hear ya. I thought that I could fly, but woke up on the asphalt. I swear there was still a storm. I've always been naive, call it